Chromatic Orrery is literally one of the most insane magic cards I have seen in my whole life. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. You know what time it is. It's Core 2021 spoiler time. Man, there are a ton of new cards, and going through them all, there were certain ones that stood out, but nothing screamed louder, "Oh, pick me, Papa," than the Chromatic Ori. Good God, this card is insane. So clearly what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie this to some Magic history. But let's start out by taking a look at the insane card. Sometimes we start with the card, sometimes we end with the card. Today, we're starting with it because you need to see this right now. Why am I saying 5? This thing costs 7 mana. I've looked at too many different cards today. 7 generic mana. It still feels weird saying generic mana. I'm gonna be real. I'm used to saying colorless, but I understand there is a functional difference and they have technically different meanings. So I've learned to say it, but regardless, 7 mana gets you this legendary artifact. Oh my God, imagine it wasn't legendary. Anyways, it's a legendary artifact. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. So just that ability on a card is really, really cool to begin with. We have tons of cards that will modify the way that lands produce mana, things like that. But normally, to be able to turn like colorless mana into colored mana, it would require a really like garbagey kind of artifact. I remember some from back in the day that are just terrible to kind of like filter your mana. But those days are over. This literally makes all mana equal. Doesn't matter where it's coming from. You tap a Sol Ring and you can get any colors you like. You can use it as if it's any color. Technically, it's like it doesn't count as colored mana, but you can spend it as if it were mana of any color. It's a very interesting ability. And then you move down a line and you see, wait a minute, this taps for what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 colorless mana. Literally 5 mana. And with this out, it can be spent as any color. This thing taps for 5 mana of any color. So, like, dude, a Gilded Lotus is 5 mana to put out and it taps for 3 mana of any color. This is 7 to put out, taps essentially for 5 mana of any combination of colors. It's not even pick one color. It's any combination that you want. So it taps for 5 mana of any color, lets you spend all your mana as if it was mana of any color, and then it keeps going with more abilities. It has another ability. 5 mana and tap it. Draw a card for each color among permanents you control. This is insane. I absolutely love this card. Now, yes, when it comes to standard, this is like, from a gameplay standpoint, this is not a card that's going to dominate standard, right? This feels like one that's just gonna, like, we're gonna go in with an over-the-top win, like hardcore. This isn't like a really tight standard feeling card. Who knows? Maybe something will come along to prove me wrong and I'll be like a month later going, wow, never mind, Chromatic Orrery actually is a big deal in standard. But it feels like a card that in standard, yeah, all right, sure, whatever, you know, you get this, it's gonna be okay. But in terms of like other formats, you know, people who play EDH, they're gonna love this. Cube, for my cube, I cannot wait to acquire one of these cards. It's fantastic, man. And the first ability there, that you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color, that takes me all the way back to my beginning days of Magic the Gathering. And I mean all the way back. We're talking 1994, when Legends was in print. Legends was the 3rd expansion in Magic the Gathering. Now I'm going to show you a card from Legends, and be kind to her. I mean, it's really just an actual star. But anyway, it's the North Star. And yes, I know, before we even get into it, I know this is not a good Magic card. In fact, let's be real, this is a terrible Magic card. But it's got a special place in my heart. So it's 4 to put out, 4 and tap it. You may cast one spell this turn by paying its casting cost with any type of mana. For example, I love this. I love that old Magic cards have like, it's in the actual just rules text instead of reminders text. Like, look, the example takes half the card. For example, 2 and 2 green becomes 4. And I mean, it mentions green mana symbols, which makes, actually, how does that work with Commander? If you're playing Commander, right? Like, oh, hold on, they've got the Oracle wording here. Okay, so by the Oracle wording, you're fine. But looking at the original, wouldn't this card's color identity technically be green? So you could only play this in green Commander decks? And wouldn't it be ironic in that case that a card that was originally meant to give you access to cards you couldn't normally play was restrictive in terms of what deck you could put it in? Like, there is a level there, but regardless, basically, it's just, hey, you can cast one spell this turn by using any kind of mana. So, woo, you can cast a blue spell with your green deck, or something less distasteful, you can cast a black spell with your green deck, you know? So I loved this card. When it came out, I tried so hard to make it work. It's terrible. It's terrible. Add 4 to the casting cost of a spell to be able to cast it with any mana. It's the worst. This card is the worst from a mechanical perspective. But from the live the dream that young Mike felt, oh my God, I loved this card. This is a rare, by the way. This is a rare from Legends. Do you know how hard these cards are to come by? I would love to have one of these for my collection. I mean, I wouldn't put it in my cube, but I would absolutely love to have one of these for my collection. Kaja does some great work. It's got an old school feel. And I love the fact that it was just kind of like this ephemeral sky goddess that is holding up the North Star, but it's in this gigantic kind of like, I don't know, that almost looks like an incense dispenser, and there's like a glowing radiance against it, and there's so many stars up against the night sky. It's what you would see if you were like, can you ever go camping and you see that the sky is full of stars, right? And when you're in the city, you can barely see any stars because of like essentially what's called light pollution. Well, this to me just gives that vision of like this individual goddess that's being depicted on this artwork could show up in the middle of a city and the light, like the stars would just beam out behind her, overriding it. I always just got that kind of vibe. And I love the dark, like night-covered landscape in the background as well. This card always made me really happy. But yes, I do fully admit that it's terrible. But when I saw Chromatic Orrery, I'm like, man, people who start now get to live the dream way better. Because Chromatic Orrery just spend mana however you want for any color, does the same thing as North Star, but for all of your spells, right? And it's actually cheaper. It seems more expensive because the Chromatic Orrery costs 7, right? But North Star costs 4 to put on 4 to use. So that's 8 mana just to get there for one spell. So that is a huge upgrade, like a massive, massive upgrade. Now, we've had upgrades in between that worked in a similar fashion. You know what I mean? Like if you take a look at Chromatic Lantern, what the heck's a lantern? Is that a lantern and a ladder glued together? That is not a good product. That's not going to sell. So Chromatic Lantern, 3 to put out. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and it adds 1 mana of any color. So it's very similar in that most of the time you're going to be drawing mana from lands, right? And this gives you the ability to get whatever color you want from any of your lands. So there's definitely a similarity there, but there is a difference as well in that you can't use colorless cards to make colored mana or treat it as colored mana. You can't use anything generated by creatures that generate mana, like, you know, gilded gooses, gilded geese, you know, stuff like that. The Chromatic Lantern has some funky artwork. The crazy, like, what is that, a bat or an owl? I think it's an owl. Either way, the idea behind these lanterns is that wherever the light falls from them on the ground, it's considered neutral ground. The flavor text says, by guild tradition, any puddle of multicolored light on the cobblestones can serve as neutral ground. And I think that's some cool flavor. You can see the whole Ravnican background there. So I'm down with that. Now, the Chromatic Orrery, when you take a look at it from like a flavor perspective, you read the flavor text and it says, visitors marveled at its design, unaware of the other world that inspired it. And so when we take a look at the artwork, you can see that this is indeed a gigantic orrery, and orreries are supposed to be like depictions of celestial bodies, right? That's the idea. So, you know, moons, stars, things of that nature, suns, for example. And when you take a look at this, you will notice that you have the 5 different colored spheres there, one glowing for each color of magic, right? And in all honesty, they really do evoke the back of a magic card. If you look at them, they've got that like perfect sphere feeling to them, and they're glowing in a slightly unearthly way. I dig this. Like, this would be, the way that it's set up, this would be something installed in some sort of like museum somewhere. Like, you could go to a museum or art gallery and see something like this, maybe in like some really rich, powerful planeswalker or mage owns this thing, and the people who come to view it have no actual inkling that it's a truly insanely powerful magical device that there's only one of. Now, the flavor text again, it said visitors marveled at its design, unaware of the other world that inspired it. So that's got to make you wonder, what world are they referencing? Well, if you've been around long enough, you will know that Magic actually has a world that has 5 suns, one for each color. And that is the world of Mirrodin. And this sort of a card, turning colorless into colored, bringing artifact into life in a way, that is very much Mirrodin. And you can actually see that there is literally an orrery that exists in the Mirrodin block, the Vidalcan Ori, which is another card I'm a huge fan of. This is a 4 casting cost artifact that says you may cast non-land cards as though they had flash. Pretty sweet. Making everything instant speed feels really good. I would absolutely love it if Wizards included this as a historic card in Arena. I would love to get to monkey around with Vidalcan Orrery some more, because it's a lot of fun. When this card came out, I built some dumb nonsense decks with it. But the point of this is more actually the artwork and the flavor text. So the artwork we see is depicting another orrery, and the flavor text says, the model incorporated the 5th sun effortlessly, as if it had always known. And that's because the final sun of Mirrodin wasn't there originally. For the longest time, there was only 4 suns of Mirrodin, and the one was, like, essentially to most people, non-existent. Now, that's part of the Mirrodin storyline, and we will be doing lore videos on those, so we'll get deeper into that story. But regardless, when you tie this all together, when you take the information from the orrery talking about the 5th sun and the flavor text, you can see that this is very much a legendary artifact that is based off the inspiration from the plane of Mirrodin. And I have to say that this is pretty well put together. I like the flavor of this card very much, and even more so, I love the power of it, dude. I am deep down inside, not only do I love lore and flavor, but I love big, dumb cards. I am a mega Timmy at heart, and this just, woo, this makes me happy. I will gladly slam this into my cube. So let me know what you guys think about this card in the comments below. If you like what I'm doing here, this channel is fan funded, and if you want to support it, you can join up on the Patreon, which would be great right now, as I just looked at a video yesterday that got 15,000 views, and it made $2. If you ever wondered how that works, whew, that doesn't feel the best. Anyways, thanks for coming by, everybody, and I will see you all soon.